Avarie Howard here in Lincoln following Tuesday media availability. Well, Saturday evening at the Rose Bowl, two teams in UCLA and Nebraska will be rallying around two different causes. A UCLA team rallying around their interim head coach and continuing to try and turn a season around that was off to a disappointing start. And for Nebraska, rallying around one of their leaders and captains in Dylan Raiola, who went down against USC in a season-ending injury, and doing everything they can to support their true freshman quarterback TJ Latif, who will be getting his first collegiate start this Saturday back in his home state of California. Well, today we heard from Dana Holgorsen, who spoke to the belief this program has in TJ Latif, but he also gave us an update on Dylan Raiola's injury. He will fly to New York this week for surgery, but before doing so, he was back in this facility today.
Meeting this morning, asking questions and taking notes. He was out there at practice and talking to TJ in between every series. I mean, that's incredible.
Well, today, Dana Holgorsen said they saw that a little bit more at practice as he stepped into the practice field with the mentality of knowing he's now the guy.
Excited about TJ's opportunity, so I think he's ready to go. He had a great practice out there today. Players are motivated to, go to LA and play again on Saturday. Good, strong, older presence guys. When TJ stepped into that huddle to start practice, those guys were excited in there, and they were slapping them around and kidding with them, joking with them, but they understand it.
Sticking to the offense, we heard from wide receiver Ja'Cory Barney, who last season as a true freshman came into this offense and made an immediate impact. He knows exactly what it's like to be in those big moments and big games. He said his advice to TJ would be just to learn from the guys around you. Well, to that, he said he's been learning from Dylan all season long, so he's in good hands. Well, you may be wondering what the chemistry might be like between TJ and his wide receivers. Well, to that, Ja'Cory said he's not worried one bit.
Of course, we always throw together. Him and Dylan is always getting throws with us and the receiver, so I'm pretty used to throwing with him. And now it's time for him to step up, and we're ready to work with him and see what we can do.
We also heard from tight end Luke Lindenmeyer, who shares it's been really hard to watch the clip where Dylan Raiola gets hurt against USC over and over again as he feels some sense of responsibility on that play. He said it's now on all of them to step up to make sure TJ feels supported this week, and that actually started with Dylan Raiola today in the team meeting, who stood in front of the whole team and had an emotional message.
Yeah, Dylan spoke in front of the team today. He's emotional. He wished he could be out there with us, and he's got TJ's back too. He believes in him probably the most out of anybody. We all see what TJ can do, and we're all rallying behind him.
As you can imagine, that message of responsibility and raising the bar to support TJ Latif this weekend rings true for the offensive line. Henry Lutovsky said TJ's just an athlete, but it does fall on us to make sure he's as comfortable as possible. He's also very aware of how big of an opportunity this is this weekend, and what better place than at a historic site like the Rose Bowl.
Talking with him during the week, making sure that, we're doing everything on our part, preparation-wise, to help him out. And then it's really just, every man on the field, whether it be, offense, defense, or special teams, just doing their most to just make him comfortable. Just doing your job a little bit better for him, just to have him settle in better in the game.
Moving over to the defense, we heard from defensive coordinator John Butler, who kind of took us into the film room today as there's a continued focus on finding ways to stop the run, because once again, they'll be challenged this weekend with another mobile and athletic quarterback.
11 guys out there on the field. We have 11 on defense. The second that the quarterback becomes a viable runner, the matchup's even. So what you're always trying to do then is you're trying to kind of get a half of a player towards somebody so you can get that extra half a player towards the quarterback. Because if you take your post safety out of the middle of the field and he's got the quarterback, then it turns into, bombs over Baghdad, and they're just throwing the ball all over you. So you're constantly trying to manipulate, that factor, because the quarterback as a runner is an equalizer. It's an equalizer in the run game because you got all the gaps filled. When the quarterback meshes the ball, he creates another gap that you've got to then find somebody. And you look at the other night, they were doing that with their quarterback, and we were bringing the corner, and he was then flipping the ball out to number one. Well, then we figured it out. We adjusted, and they did that, and Marshall jumped back and made the play. So it's a constant cat and mouse game of, who's going to have the extra guy? Is it a blitz? Is it a run stunt? Are we going to show pressure to try to get him out of it? Are we going to, so there's a lot of things you have to do. He can make all the throws if he knows what the coverage is. He can throw the ball deep to the outside. He can throw the ball deep to the, on the comebacks and the digs. So the intermediate passing game that you see a lot of quarterbacks struggle with he does a nice job with. And so we're going to have to do a good job, like we have to do every week with a quarterback like that, of muddying the picture pre-snap and making sure that when the ball's snapped, the post-snap coverage looks different than it was pre-snap.
Lastly, we heard from Deshaun Singleton, who said, yeah, there's a chip on our shoulder this week, as this UCLA team came into our house last year and left with the win. He shared where those lingering feelings from last season's loss are motivating this team this week.
It's an extreme motivator. I mean, you got that little itch, you know what I'm saying, on the back of your head. You waiting on that game because obviously they came in our house and we ended up losing. So, I mean, this is a game that we've been waiting for, and we're ready to go out there and go play.
For many players on this roster, it'll be the first time they're playing inside the Rose Bowl. Well, for Deshaun Singleton,
I feel like, grass is grass. So